Yeah. Hey, shout out to Daniel Winston.
Daniel!
Hooking us up. Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Ringside Report MMA live tonight on the show. Jon Jones and Israel Adesanya going at it on Twitter. Are they going to go at it in the Octagon? Conor McGregor, is he coming back to the sport? Dana White says he's made an offer. And UFC once again in Abu Dhabi this weekend. Fight Island will get you covered for everything MMA right here on Ringside Report Live. Hey, it's me again, and it's AJ.
What's
hey,
up,
AJ.
homie?
What's
Are
up,
you
dude?
feeling better, man?
No.
Freaking. Most people didn't see, like, Dave going on this crazy rant before we started the show. The guy's in pain. The guy is, man, flipping out. But here he is, man. He's still doing the show.
Yeah.
I've never seen you got angry, dude. And this time it wasn't towards me. As you can see, Dave has, like, what's that guy called from A Christmas Carol?
I don't know. Tiny Tim?
Tiny Tim. Yeah, poor Tiny Tim. There's Tiny Tim right now, man.
Don't call me
so
Tiny
Dave,
Tim.
Man,
Is that a short joke?
Well, you got the crutch.
there
No,
you-
dude, Tiny Tim. It's coming Thanksgiving. You got the crutch, man. You know.
Yeah.
So what the hell happened, man?
I don't think I can say.
Why?
Because we're in a red zone, and I don't think what I was doing was necessarily okay.
No. You're in the bubble, dude. You're allowed to have one family
Person?
member or
Are
friend
you?
over. Yes,
Are you?
You're allowed one. But
In a
yeah,
bubble?
you live alone. Well, Dave, you're alone when you're at home, so you're allowed to bring someone over.
But only if you live alone, isn't it? Isn't it only if
No.
you live alone?
If there's nobody home, if you're alone, you're allowed to bring someone.
If you're alone at home, you can have somebody over. But if somebody else is in your
Exactly.
home, if you're two people
Then
at
you
home,
can't.
that person can't come over. So really, is that
Exactly.
the law? Man, we
Yeah,
are
yeah,
in
yeah.
some weird times. Welcome to the show. We're going to talk about MMA here because we're in a weird zone. The government has imposed all sorts of restrictions here where we live in Quebec, and you're not allowed to have people over. You're not allowed to go here. You're not allowed to go there. There's like different color codings. We were in an orange zone. Now we're in the red zone.
No, red.
Yeah, no,
bud.
I'm saying we were in orange. Now we're in red. But I did a whole podcast about this morning. So quite frankly, I'd rather talk about MMA with you here, AJ, because like I talked with my other Italian buddy this morning about the serious matters of the red zone. My buddy Giuseppe, which by the way, guys,
Giuseppe.
my buddy Giuseppe, he's a good man. If you haven't seen that show, go check it out. It's let's see here. Yeah, it's this show right here. Look, Irreparable Damage. Go to irreparabledamageshow.com and you can watch this very show that we did this morning entitled Irreparable Damage episode 57, The Red Zone. So we're on YouTube, we're on podcasts, and we're really trying to get more subscribers for our YouTube channel. So go check out our YouTube channel or go to irreparabledamageshow.com. Joey will be so pleased that I gave our show a plug this early in the Ringside Report show. This is the hub. This is the mothership. This is the, this is the spot. And any of the
This is the
offshoot
big salad.
shows getting a shout out. It's like, it's big. He should be paying me.
He should
for
be
that,
paying
but-
us.
Yeah, but
But you know what?
I'm
You
a
guys
nice
have a
guy.
good show. You talk about like news and you talk about like all this crazy shit that's going around. It could be anything, and it's very like it's entertaining and it's interesting and it's fun, man.
Yeah. I'm seeing Lauren Cronish.
But were
on
you
the-
as angry on that show?
No, Lauren Cronish on the chat. He's saying I didn't have the crutch this morning. No, I didn't have the crutch because
Exactly.
I did the
now
show.
you know why he's so angry.
I did the show, and then I did jujitsu afterwards, and now I have the crutch. Did some jujitsu. I had somebody on top of me, and I went to bridge. When you bridge, your head goes, and then your feet go too, right? Your feet plant, and as I lifted him up successfully over me, and I got top position, when I got on top, I was like, oh, something happened to my toe there, and I think I broke it or something. I don't know, but it hurts. It's swollen. I'm on crutches. I can't walk, and I'm pissed about it.
So
really,
basically, Dave's
really
toe is
pissed
as
about
big
it.
as this pumpkin right here. You
It's
see this?
pretty
That's Dave's toe.
big. It's big. I'm
Or
mad.
it's more like this. Listen, man, shit happens. What do you think, man? When you do, people don't realize that in jiu-jitsu or wrestling or whatnot. I mean, not to break something or not to tear something, not that you want it to happen, right? You try to avoid all this stuff. But you know what? it happens. And I was telling Dave, like, just before, I remember I was training for a competition. It was around 2011, 2010, 2011. And I broke all my toes, man. They went
Yeah.
into an L shape.
Good story,
And
AJ.
because of
We'll tell the
no,
rest of the
wait,
story later. Later, I want to talk about Jon Jones
wait.
now. Before we wait
No,
any
wait,
longer,
man.
no, it's a good story. I like it, AJ. But I heard the story before the show, and honestly, we could skip it. Let's go to. It wasn't that great.
Bastard.
It wasn't that great.
You bastard. You're so angry today, Dave. I'm telling you.
I'm just trying to keep us tight, man. I'm editing, you know?
Yeah, that's okay, bud. I just wanted you to know that in case I have to leave at 9 on the show to go get your package that you sent me.
Yeah.
Only on Ringside Report, man.
That's
you don't
right.
see this shit on Rogan, you know?
I sent you and Freddie a little birthday gift, and it should have arrived today. Freddie's did. I don't know why yours hasn't arrived yet, but hopefully it shows up soon.
I'm in the hood here, man.
Yeah, they're scared to go.
First of all, like, okay. Freddie's not here. Just to mention.
Right. We should mention Freddie's not here.
Yeah.
We miss him. Fred's not here. He's got a family engagement. He can't be here. He'll be here next week. Fred's not fired from the show.
It's his birthday party.
I don't.
So don't call on him. Don't call on him, guys.
I don't think it is,
and
I don't think we should say it was his birthday yesterday. Happy birthday, Fred. I don't think we should say he's having a birthday party. I don't even think that's why he's not here. And if he was having a birthday party, I don't think we should say it publicly because I don't think it would be legal, right?
He's in the South Shore. I think he's still in the orange zone.
Apparently, the glasses that are flashing behind you are like really annoying. You got to take those off.
Oh,
Get rid of those.
I forgot about these. This was like for Fred, actually.
Yeah.
Who's that? Our producer again?
Yeah. He says they're no good. Get rid of them immediately.
He doesn't know.
Listen.
What are you talking about, man? These are like the best.
You're not in charge. Okay, Jon Jones and Israel Adesanya have been going back and forth. Israel Adesanya looked amazing on Saturday night. And, of course, we can't forget to mention AJ 0-5, UFC 253. We can never, ever forget. Anytime AJ says he's always right, ever on the show, we can always remind him, you went 0-5 at UFC 253, my friend. And I was the only member of the Ringside Report team who said Israel Adesanya would beat Paulo Costa. You guys were all aboard the Costa train, and he got smoked on Saturday night. So, AJ, just going to rub it in a little bit more. 0-5 on Saturday night. How did that happen?
That's the first. I don't know, man. That's the first time that's ever happened. I knew you were going to bring it up all week. You were preparing. If Fred was here, man, it would have been 2-on-1 like blast. Because that night, like we were doing our watch along, I was sweating, man, through it all. Like the first one, I'm like, okay, it's the first loss, so it doesn't look good. Plus, we have like Bet99 that was watching us. But I'm going to tell you what I did. Actually, kind of like Jan's magic rope. Ever since Rob said, you know what, pick the opposite of AJ, I gave him a favor. So if you would have listened, Rob, to your own advice, you could have made some serious money. You would have got a 5-win parlay.
Yeah.
And you know what, AJ? AJ's taking like at least, I'd say about 60% of that if you did win. So I'm coming to see you soon. So it's only fair because I gave the prediction and I did him a favor.
The wrong predictions.
So, listen, man, he said, I'm going to go on the opposite of what AJ says. And if he did, he would have won big time. And you know what? Shit happens. This is the first time I ever got 0-5, man. It pisses me off. Mm-hmm. But you know what? I bet you most people got it wrong because even Freddie got 2 out of 5, I think. Dave, if people would have listened to Dave and they would have bet on bet99.com, they would have made some good money because Dave pulled it off. You pulled it off.
4-1.
And not only did you pull it off,
4-1.
Not only did you pull it off, was it
could have been better?
Yeah, it was 4-1.
Because I thought Reyes would win.
Listen, man, you picked off the first 3 fights on the main card. You called the decision on the first 2, and you called the submission on the 3rd fight, which would have meant that if you just went with that parlay with a submission, damn, you would have made some good money.
Yeah. Brandon Royval coming through big time. He was a big underdog, and he won by submission, which I told you was going to happen, which is pretty good. See if I can pick some winners for you tonight.
Actually, you know what? I'm going to go – I want everybody to go with my picks because that doesn't happen all the time, 0-5. And you know what? Like I said –
That's true. You are due. You're due for a winning night because you had such a bad night on Saturday.
No. Hey, listen, I won on the week's back card pretty good. Let's not forget, I got 4 out of 5 while you guys, like, choked. So – and I would have got 5 out of 5 if it wasn't a draw on the Cerrone fight. So let's not forget, if you would have went with AJ that night, you would have made money. Mind you, it would have made even bigger money if you went against me on on last week's card or last weekend's card. But anyways, you pulled it off, Dave. So kudos to you. There's a first for everything.
Okay, AJ. Okay. So Israel Adesanya pulled off the victory, looked amazing last Saturday, and a lot of people are calling him out. A lot of people want to fight him, but none more interesting, none bigger than Jon Jones. Like, Israel Adesanya says, oh, I'll fight Jared Cannonier if Cannonier can beat Robert Whittaker. Okay. Israel also says he's interested in a super fight with Jan Blachowicz for the light heavyweight title. Okay. Jon Jones even on Saturday night said, Jan Blachowicz looked really good. Should I go back to light heavyweight and fight him for my belt? Yeah, okay. But the big fight is Israel versus Jon Jones. The real super fight between middleweight and light heavyweight champions is Israel Adesanya versus Jon Jones. If Israel Adesanya beats Jon Jones, if they fight and Israel wins, you're really not going to tell me that Israel Adesanya is the number one light heavyweight as well as middleweight in the world? Because as great as Jan Blachowicz looked on Saturday night, in my opinion, and I think in anybody's opinion that really matters, Jon Jones is the number one light heavyweight on this planet still. He's still number one. Like KRS
Not according to Israel.
Still number one.
Not according to Israel.
Who cares what Israel
says? He's
says?
claiming that he's the number one. Mike has never fought in light heavyweight, but he's claiming he's the best 205er in the world right now. And he put it out on his social feeds, man. And you know what? There's one thing that I gotta admit. The thing with Israel, sorry to interrupt you, Dave, but the beating that he gave Paulo Costa was surprising. Paulo Costa couldn't get into any part of the fight, whatever his game plan was. He couldn't get into that pocket. Israel was so fast. The kicks were so precise. This guy was such an amazing fighter. All I was looking at was, holy shit, this is a better version of Anderson Silva in his prime. This is a Jon Jones here. And you know what? When he starts saying that I am the best at 205, I'm starting to believe this guy. I'm starting to believe that Israel Adesanya is going to be the greatest fighter the UFC's ever had. And in fact, I think he's went up as I think he's second now as pound for pound as the best fighter in the world. There's no joke, man. This Israel can back it up. Paulo Costa was no chump change, man. I really thought Paulo was going to give him a beating. And I'm the first to admit, man, that Israel's hype train is real, and it's not only a hype. This guy can back it up, dude. I think if he fights Jon Jones, Jones is running, and there's a feud right now. And I don't know if you just saw the last couple of hours, Dave, but it got messy. I sent you a picture on what was said, and man, actually, we've been saying that for the longest time. But you got to look at the Twitter feed.
So here's Israel Adesanya. Let's see if we can get that here. Where's Israel Adesanya? Israel, I mean, there he is spanking Jon Jones as Big E.
That's classic, man.
Chael Sonnen saying that Israel would whip Jon Jones if there were a 5 rounds because he wins all 5.
Chael Sonnen saying that. You got to take that.
A lot of Israel Adesanya, Jon Jones stuff. There's this. Here's.
But what about the drug deal?
Look at this.
Oh.
Yeah, Israel kind of humped Paulo Costa after beating him, right? He did a little humpy hump. That was weird. Dude, weird.
That wasn't only weird. That's like, I don't know how to say it. It's like almost getting a shoe in the face kind of thing. Back in days when I think Bush almost got a shoe thrown at his face. It's that insulting, man. I mean, Paulo Costa has gone wild. He's like on a new mission to kill. I mean, after, like he says, I didn't see that in the fight because obviously not. He was like in the moon. But after he saw the video of like getting humped by Israel, this, like, if that happened to me and I was fighting and somebody did that to me, I swear to God, I would go local. And I know what Paulo Costa, he's going local. This guy, this could be sometimes a fuel that could ignite a fighter to fight more than just money. More like he has to win back his pride, dude. And I'm telling you, Paulo Costa's gone for now. But in a couple of years, this guy's coming back, and you know what? I, I don't know if he could beat Israel Adesanya, but let me tell you, man, he's gone wild. All he wants to do is come back to fight Israel. Mind you, he
Yeah,
doesn't deserve it.
okay.
Like the fight
Well,
proved it,
sure. I
but
mean, you
man,
could be
I'd be
mad.
embarrassed for life.
Sure, you could be mad at the way the guy treated you after the fight, and I understand that. And yes, it was disrespectful. Did Israel need to do that? No. Do I like it? No. But at the same time, Paulo Costa can be as mad as he wants to be. No one's really looking for him to fight Israel Adesanya after the performance he put on Saturday. He looked bad. He got smoked. It wasn't even close.
Dude, he didn't do exactly what I said he should have been doing.
He did nothing.
He did nothing, and you know what? He didn't come out with that intensity that would have changed probably the flow of the fight. So his thing is that he had to come out fast, strong, and hard. And sometimes you got to take a chance, because if you sit back, like Romero did and all this kind of weird stuff, you're going to lose against Israel. You need to engage, and Paulo was basically trying to figure out Israel or trying to study him. Bad move. You're done. Checkmate. And that proved it. So what I said is that he had to take him up against the Octagon, close that range, and really clinch him, take him down, and really do what Costa does. You had to maul him, and he didn't have an opportunity. And the kicks by Israel was exactly the game plan he needed to keep Paulo Costa away. And man, you know what? I got a lot more respect for Israel, after this
yeah,
fight.
of course.
Like,
you didn't think he was going to win, and then he destroyed your
Nope.
boy, so you got to have respect for the guy.
right.
I have I have the same respect. I might have a little bit less, quite honestly, just based off a couple of things that we saw during and after the fight. First of all, the hump of Paulo Costa at the end. Like, I thought Israel would win. He was really impressive. He's a great fighter. As a fighter, he's lost no respect, but as a man, you don't have to hump the guy. You smoked him. That's all you need. And also the thing in his breasticle. Like, what's going on there? He's got something going on.
That.
There's a mass. There's something going on. He's saying it's not steroids. A lot of other fighters are saying, yeah, bullshit, it is steroids. So there's a weird thing going on, and his explanation for it was not really great. He didn't really explain what it was either. So I'm a little bit like, little skeptical, little bit wondering. I'm a little bit suspicious of him, and I'm suspicious of his character after he humped Paulo Costa, after knocking him out, beating the shit out of him.
Wait, in defense for Israel on that whole tit thing that's been like making like airwaves, I was listening to Israel talking to Ariel Hawani, and he was like justifying, well, not justifying it because he doesn't really know. In fact, it was his girlfriend that told him like a week before, like, dude, you got to get this checked. There's something wrong with your tit. It's sagging. And you know what? There was all kinds of things that came up that it's possible that he was on some testosterone or some type of steroid-based drug. And you know what? I took the opportunity the last couple of days to talk to a lot of like guys at the gym that sometimes are like juicing.
Yeah.
And you know what? I showed him the picture, and I'm like, guys, like, there's people saying that this is possible, that it could be like steroid like related.
Gyno.
So I'm talking to some. Yeah, that's what it is, and I don't know what the medical term is for that tit sagging, but
Gyno.
Jon Jones he's got tested and he's waiting for his results. But when I showed it to the
gynecomastia.
Is that what it's called? Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. Anyways, going back to the road guys at the gym, and I'm like, hey guys, they look at it and they're like, this guy's juicing, man, big time. They all said that. They're like, oh, he's juicing. I'm like, come on, guys. And these guys are juicing. But the thing is that they said right off the bat, I'm like, fuck, man, like Israel doesn't look like the body type to be juicing as you look at Paulo Costa and you're like, yeah, man, this guy's juicing for real. But talking to the juice boys, they're all like, yeah, he's juicing. He didn't do it right. He has to do his protein and all this kind of stuff. I don't even understand what the hell they're talking about. But they have like this whole chemical thing where they're like, yeah, he's been doing it, and those are the after effects. He didn't do it right, and that shit happens. So I'm like, so you're telling me you believe this guy's roiding? And they're like, oh yeah, fuck yeah, of course. So I'm like, wow. I don't know, man.
Okay,
Let's see
well,
what the doctor results say.
I don't know.
When they come back.
I've never done steroids, but honestly, like with this injury, I might have to so I could get back on my feet faster. I'm not opposed to it. I don't think steroids are bad. I'm down to do steroids. But I've never done steroids, so I don't really know what it does. I don't really know how it works. If it gives you titties, I don't want that. I mean, I'd rather not. If it gives you what Israel has, I'm not interested. Although if it makes you kick really good, maybe. But, yeah, if steroid dudes are telling you, oh, yeah, for sure, and there's a lot of guys out there that are like, yeah, man, that's what that is, I don't know. I'm not going to say that's 100% what it is. I'm just saying that a lot of people that seem like they would know are saying juicing. A lot of people out there are saying juicing. And a lot of people are seeing Israel's excuse and his talk, and like me, are not fully buying what he's selling. So, you know, I've lost a little bit of respect for him after the fight, just based off a couple of those things. I think he's a great fighter, but
listen, man, but you got to also like look at it from the other side too. That maybe he does have some kind of like
maybe it's a
growth.
tear.
Like
maybe it's a growth.
Somebody said
it doesn't
somebody
necessarily.
Said it could be staph.
Yeah,
it could be staph. You know, and I've had staph. It could look like that. It's a nasty thing. But you know what? If he had staph and he performed like that, holy shit, man!
Yeah.
Usually when you get staph, man, it's your energy levels are not like what we saw on Saturday. But the thing is that he's going through his doctor results, and they did all the blood work and scans and whatever. I think he had like 2 or 3 MRIs, whatever. We'll find out what it really is. And the thing is that in the doctor report, if it comes out with something that shows some kind of steroid base like ingredient in his body, what the fuck is going to happen at this point? Everybody was blaming Paulo Costa being on juice, and nothing came out on the USADA test. And you know what? I really hope that there's nothing in Israel, because, man, it would break away everything that's building up right now with a guy who's ready to fight like just about anybody.
Hey,
I'm surprised he hasn't called out GSP as well.
Yeah, he's too low, too low of a weight class. Israel's a little too heavy. Let's hear. Let's go from Israel. Let's hear what he says here. Talking about Jon Jones after the fight on Saturday. I want to get into some of these Jon Jones Israel tweets.
The middleweight division, and then he went up to light heavyweight for little shows. I just wanted to fuck up Jon Jones, and I still will, but I'll just have to talk to Eugene, because even he many times.
He's got to talk to Eugene, whoever Eugene is. I think Eugene's his coach. So Israel said he wants to fuck up Jon Jones, right?
I think
Eugene's
it's
his coach.
dad or something.
No, his dad is somebody else. His dad is not Eugene. Eugene is his coach, okay? So here, Jon Jones Twitter, the moment I heard, but, bro, you're younger than me and have 4 times the fighting experience. Grow some balls already. So he's saying, come on.
Dave,
Jon Jones says,
the best.
Now, Jon Jones about Jan Blachowicz. How in the fuck do you consider taking off for a few months to gain weight quitting? So,
listen, can you?
Yeah.
Do you have like 2 seconds? Go to the Instagram of Ringside Report, and I think the best like insult was by Israel going to Jones, and we have it on that site.
I don't know what that is. What did he say?
Go take a look at it.
Well, it might be on Israel's Twitter too, because I got Israel's Twitter here. Stop fucking up my flow here, AJ. I'm trying to get to the point. I wonder if Boohoo Man makes training bras. One guy asked Jon Jones, do you think he's on gear? He goes, who knows if promoters were testing in those little bomb-ass shows. Where is it? Here. This is where it got real personal. I'm curious to hear what his father tells him when he asks about fighting me, says Jon Jones. I wonder if his father believes he's ready. Eugene definitely doesn't. So Eugene is Israel's coach. And Israel replied. And he says, my pops already told me how I'd beat you. Trust me, he knows. Your mom would be disappointed in who you've become. Which, Jon Jones saying one thing about Israel's dad, who's talked, who's kind of in the game, who's like talked to Israel, who's still alive, right? Jon Jones' mother has passed away, and Israel is putting her out there in a tweet. Now, you can say all you want, oh, Jon Jones said this, Jon Jones said that. I thought that tweet from Israel was out of line. I thought that was going a little too far. You don't bring a guy's dead mother into things. He brought your father into it. He brought your father into it. Okay, that's one thing. You're going to talk about the guy's dead mother? Damn, man. That's
that
rough.
That would fly on Tony Soprano, man. But
no.
What I'm trying to... Listen, that's what I'm saying. If you can just pull up the Instagram of Ringside, you'll see like that comment that Israel said. And I'm telling you, man, it's getting nasty. But he's bringing out not only about his mom, his dad, his coach, he's bringing out stuff about his coke issues and everything else. And it's getting wild, man. I'm telling you, this fight's going to go down at some point, and it's going to be nasty.
So there it is. So Israel at Stylebender, which is on his Twitter too, AJ. I could have just got it there. So to get ahead of all the bullshit coming, my statement below. LOL. Why do you start a statement with LOL? As like the beginning of a sentence. Like that's not how you start a sentence. LOL if Jones has this much knowledge. Like Israel doesn't seem that smart. Good at fighting. Maybe not that smart. If Jones has this much knowledge about the fight game and fame game, he would have known not to run back to the car to get the money and coke. Dumbass. He didn't run back to the car to get the money and coke, Israel. He went back to the car to get the money and the weed. Get your facts straight, motherfucker.
No. You might have had some coke in there with the weed, man. Guaranteed. No. You know, but this is what it's coming down to. This is getting personal. Look, Jones has always been regarded as like, sort of like the champion with like a lot of like controversy behind him. Always Jon Jones is going to be in the news if he's not shooting at like homeless people, he's like hitting like pregnant women and running away and all that kind of shit. But then he comes back and you're like, shit, Jones has changed. But Israel right now, who's like a young version of Jones, he's the champion and people really like him, but man, he's got like this mean streak in him. And you know what? I don't know if that's going to drive up his popularity or it's going to pull it away where people are going to want to actually see Jones smash this guy. But, right now, if I had to say the fight would take place tomorrow, man, I think Israel would take it.
Okay. So here's Jon Jones. Jon Jones replying, sitting with tens of millions of dollars, children on fire about Jesus Christ, one of the greatest martial artists in world history. One of the greatest martial artists and world history? Does he mean in world history, or does he mean he's also making Jesus world history? I don't know. Sure, my mom is disappointed. Why are you mad, bro? What? Jesus what?
Is Jesus the martial artist? I don't get that, man. What is he talking about?
No, his children are on fire about... His children are really into Jesus, and his mother would be proud about that, is what he's trying to say, AJ. I speak Jon Jones. I don't
get that, man.
My mother was an amazing humanitarian. I know for a fact that the CARE projects makes her more proud than anything I've done in the UFC. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to highlight my amazing mother this afternoon. Now I'm just missing her. Are we still on for 2021? Let's get it
at the bottom there.
Started, okay? Will fight me at any weight, you said, right? I called bullshit. I'm waiting for you. Jon Jones says, let's go. The world is waiting, he says. So Eugene will let you fight Stipe, but not me?
Go back.
That's the latest tweet from Jon Jones. Yeah, that's fine.
I saw Muscle Marco on that.
Yeah, okay. AJ, you're getting distracted from the point. So Jon Jones and Israel Adesanya, even just up until recently, Jon Jones tweeted that last one like 40 minutes ago. They are still going at it on Twitter. They are going back and forth, and they're talking like they want to fight each other. Now,
man,
I don't know, man. Here's my feeling on this. This fight would be so much bigger if it could be for the UFC light heavyweight championship of the world. This fight would be so much bigger if Israel could move up as the reigning middleweight champion and challenge the reigning light heavyweight champion, Jon Jones. The fact that Jon Jones dropped his championship belt, just gave up the belt, takes something away from this fight. Does it take everything away from this fight? No, certainly not. But it's it takes away a little bit because if Israel wins, well, he's the best, but he doesn't have the belt. And if Jon Jones fights again at light heavyweight without the title, it's like, really? Why? So I don't really understand. You know, I don't really understand why Jon Jones had to give up the light heavyweight title if his next fight is going to be at light heavyweight. So as cool as the Israel Adesanya fight is, I don't really see how it gets done out of the light heavyweight division. Jon Jones can't make middleweight, right? He's not going to fight at 185 in Israel's class. Israel would have to move up to 205 to fight Jon Jones. But Jon Jones has already said, well, I'm gaining weight. I'm not fighting in 205 anymore. I'm taking time off to put on weight so I could fight at heavyweight. How's he going to fight Israel Adesanya? Well, now Jon Jones is saying, well, Israel, you would fight me at any weight. So how do you like this? Jon Jones and Israel Adesanya at heavyweight. Let's do that.
Heavyweight?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's still gonna be fighting for no belt.
So
what about fighting at light heavyweight and fighting for like the BMF title, man? Something along those lines. So if either or wins or like whoever loses or wins, it won't really affect their status. They can still fight again at some point in like a real title belt at light heavyweight or heavyweight for that matter. But you know what I'm saying? Right now, Yan is the champion. So Jones has to go and fight Yan. Say he loses. All this build-up, man, is down the drain. I'm telling you, Dana White is freaking out now because this would be probably the pay-per-view that's going to beat Conor's record. And you know what? Dude, no. Everybody would want to see this. Are you kidding me now? Everybody knows Israel. Man, listen, I'm telling you, it'll be up there. If
AJ, you like to overhype things. You overhype things, and that's okay, and that's a lot of hype. But what I'm saying is I don't really see where this fight takes place, at what weight division. If Jones is moving up to heavyweight, let him move up to heavyweight. If he's not moving up to heavyweight, I guess let him fight at 205 against Israel. But then what? Then does he fight Blachowicz? Do people want to see Jon Jones fight Blachowicz? And if Jon Jones wanted to fight Jan Blachowicz, like he was talking about that fight on Saturday night after Jan smoked Dominic Reyes, Jon Jones now coming back and saying that he wants to fight Jan Blachowicz does make him seem like he was afraid of fighting Dominic Reyes again because he's not escaping the light heavyweight division, right? He just kind of avoided fighting Dominic Reyes. And now all of a sudden that Reyes is out of the picture, Jon Jones is like, yeah, I'll come back to 205 and fight Blachowicz for the title. It's just very strange that I don't think Jon Jones is afraid of Dominic Reyes. It just kind of looks like he ducked him a little bit. It looks like he avoided a rematch. If he does come back to the light heavyweight division to fight Blachowicz for the title, like that seems ridiculous because he could have just stayed at light heavyweight, defended his title against Blachowicz, and just moved on from there. But instead, he decided to give up the belt, say he's going to heavyweight. Now, if it's all a big fake out for him to fight at light heavyweight, why did he give up the belt? Like, this is what I don't understand with the whole Jon Jones thing. Like, he's been the best light heavyweight in the world since 2011, but he's been stripped of the belt. He's given up the belt more times than anyone that I've ever seen. And if he does it again, like, what the fuck is he doing? What is going on with this guy's career?
Look, it doesn't make sense. Like strategy-wise, I mean, like he says, he's got tens of millions of dollars. He doesn't really need to fight. He's going to want to fight big money fights. Fighting Israel is going to be a big money fight. Fighting at heavyweight against Stipe and becoming the champion, then it's big money. But the thing is that, man, it's not like Jones is that old. He's only 33 years old, you know, and Israel is 31. You know, they can fight maybe in 2-3 years from now, for all we know, if they continue, like, you don't know, Dave. I mean,
come on.
It's not like they're that
Jon
old,
Jones,
man. They're 30 years old.
Jon Jones is an old 33. Let's be honest. He's had a lot of fights in the Octagon, a lot of fights against high-level opponents for a very long time. He's not been very good to his body, right? Cocaine, alcohol, abuse. You could say alcohol abuse. I don't know if he's abused cocaine. He's definitely used cocaine. But he's had a few DUIs, so he's definitely abused alcohol to a point where it was bad for his health. Dangerous, right?
True.
So this is not a guy who takes pristine care of himself. This is not a guy who's had an easy past 10 years fighting some of the toughest savages on this planet. So, Jon Jones at 33 is old. Jon Jones at 33 is near the end. You say 3 years? I think he's done in 3 years. To be quite honest, I think he's donezo. Out of the sport or beaten out of the sport. I think Jon Jones is going to lose if he sticks around for another 3 years. Israel might be the guy to beat him. I don't think he will be, but he might be. I would lean towards Jon Jones in that fight if it does take place in 2021. I would go with Jon Jones. He is bigger.
Why?
He's bigger, okay? And he's got something that Israel doesn't. It's the most effective martial art in the sport. It's called wrestling. Jon Jones is a very good wrestler. Jon Jones can take a lot of people down, including Daniel Cormier. Okay? Jon Jones can take Israel Adesanya down and do things to Israel that we haven't seen done. Jon Jones is a challenge to Israel Adesanya that Israel has never seen before. A guy as tall as him, maybe a little bit of a longer reach, bigger, stronger, thicker, good striker with wrestling. I like Jon Jones. I think Jon Jones has more tools in his box. And I think Jon Jones, because he's such a smart fighter, because his fight IQ is so high, he can implement a strategy on Israel Adesanya that will nullify his strengths, accentuate his weaknesses, and put him in trouble. Jon Jones will push Israel Adesanya against the fence. He'll do what Paulo Costa couldn't do. A lot of the things that you're saying Paulo Costa should have done, Jon Jones will be able to do because he'll have the size, the strength, and the technique. Paulo Costa is no great wrestler, okay? Paulo Costa doesn't have takedowns. Not like Jon Jones does. Nowhere near. Jon Jones is a different type of fighter than anything Israel Adesanya's faced. And I know a lot of people are very excited about Israel Adesanya right now. The hype is real. He looked great. He beat Paulo Costa. But over the next few years, we will see who Paulo Costa truly is. And you have seen who Jon Jones truly is. We know who he is. He's the best. Israel's very good, but
look,
I don't see it. I think Israel could do it. He could. It's possible.
You don't see it.
But I think Jones wins.
You don't see it with that that killer instinct. You don't see it with like that perfect timing and striking. You don't see that. I see Israel welting Jones with those kicks. You know, and that's the thing.
Jones has some pretty good kicks too, and he's longer than Israel.
He does, but not better than Israel.
Can Israel do it to a guy that's longer than him? Can he do that? Who at middleweight is longer than Israel? He's like the tallest, rangiest guy at 185 pounds. You move that up to 205, different story. When Jon Jones was fighting a bunch of guys that were shorter and stockier than him, he smoked them. As soon as the division started getting taller and rangier, he started to struggle. That's just how MMA works, man. You get figured out. You have physical attributes that don't always work against everybody.
Listen, man.
Israel's had an easy ride as far as look at who his opponents have been.
What?
I'm not saying he's had easy opponents, but look at the body types of the opponents. Stylistically, body-wise, composition-wise, Israel has had a pretty easy time. Look at guys like Derek Brunson, kind of short, stocky. Kelvin Gastelum, Robert Whittaker, Yoel Romero, Paulo Costa. All of these guys, what they have in common, and Israel beat them all up. I mean, except for Yoel, but that was Yoel's fault. All of those guys, they're shorter than Israel, and they don't have the same range. He struggled. I mean, he won, but he didn't look great against a very old Anderson Silva. Why is that? Because they have a similar style, similar height, similar range, similar abilities standing up. And Jon Jones is a much better version of that. Much better. Much taller with more tools. Okay, Jon Jones is a better fighter than Anderson Silva's ever been. Okay? I love Anderson, but it's a fact. So
Who has better? Who do you think has better reflexes?
Israel's
Come on,
struggling
Dave.
with the reach, man. It's gonna be a struggle against Jon Jones. He won't be able to pick him
man,
apart like he did Paulo Costa. Hey, AJ, don't worry about it. Hopefully the fight will happen, and I will be proven right once again. I mean, let's just say that you and Israel Adesanya fights, you don't really get them right most of the time. UFC 253, you went 0 for 5, my friend. 0 for 5.
Yeah, well, listen, you can bring that up, but like I was the one that like predicted Holly Holm to knock out Ronda Rousey. We go all the way back when everybody was laughing at me. And the thing is this, Dave, let's not forget Israel's defense, Israel's instinct, his reflexes are so good. And you know what? Paulo Costa didn't even get one punch in this guy's face. That, I think, is a record. So that shows you how Israel is able to see the punches coming in and coming from heavy bombers
short arms.
Like a Paulo Costa.
Short arms.
It's not the short arms, man. Paulo Costa's not a shorter. He wasn't that much shorter. Yeah,
his
he had
arms,
like an 8-inch reach
the reach,
on him.
come on. 8 inches. 8 inches. That's big.
No,
come on,
you're
bro.
right. You're right.
Let's be honest.
But you know what? I'm going to tell you. Let's not don't think that it's going to be a mauling by Jon Jones on Israel. I think it's going to be a completely different game. And you know what? I can't wait to see it. And that's why I keep saying, if this continues, it's going to be a pay-per-view blockbuster because everybody's going to want to see this. Because right now they're going to build us this feud up till 2021. And I'm telling you, dude, one's going to be still 33 and 31, man.
Okay.
Israel's taking this. This
Jon
guy
Jones,
is at his prime.
2021, Jon Jones versus either Israel Adesanya, Stipe Miocic, Francis Ngannou. What are you picking? Honestly, man, I'm going with Stipe. As cool as the Israel fight is, as there's bad blood and everything, I want to see Jon Jones truly challenged. And a middleweight champion going up to face him, But Jones finally going up to heavyweight and challenging the heavyweight champion of the world, yeah, I'm buying into that.
Yeah.
The Stipe fight, to me, is still the fight to make. Without a doubt, you put Jon Jones up against Stipe if you can make that fight happen. That's the big fight. That's the money fight.
Well, listen, Dave, he's definitely not training for light heavyweight. He's training for heavyweight, and he's training for that fight, and he's going to get that fight. So it's just bad timing that Israel is where he is right now, and it would have been a great fight if Jon Jones was still light heavyweight champion.
Yeah.
He's training for heavyweight. So right now, you're right. The fight that's going to take place, like maybe, who knows, the end of 2020, the beginning of 2021, will be Jones versus Stipe. And if Jones can pull off that and become the heavyweight champion, man, think about it. There's so much more riding. He comes back to the light heavyweight and challenges, like, I don't know.
No. He beats Stipe. He's heavyweight champion of the world, and he defends his belt. And he's the heavyweight champion then. Forget light heavyweight. It's over. I think Jones...
You don't think he's going to come back?
No, I don't think he
know
should.
about that.
Going
Jones-
up and down in weight, especially at that stage of his career, I don't think is a very good idea. Jason on the chat says Jones will win via TKO. I agree with Jason that Jones will win. I would pick him to win by decision, though. I think it'll be very tough to put Israel Adesanya away, but I don't think that is going to be the next fight. I wouldn't be against it, though. For Israel Adesanya, like for Jon Jones, I think there are better options. Jon Jones versus Stipe, yeah, I'm into that. But for Israel, I think Jon Jones is the biggest fight he could possibly get right now. Because you look at the middleweight division, he's talking about fighting Jared Cannonier. Like,
yeah,
you know, come on. He's good, he's dangerous, but it's not a fun name. It's not like a guy where people are like, oh, like I don't know anybody who's a Jared Cannonier fan. Sorry. You know, I don't know a lot of, like, where's the Jared Cannonier army coming out being like, oh, Jared deserves a shot. Fuck you, Jared's the best. It's like, okay, those guys don't exist. So, you know, because of that, you know, it's like, okay, if I say something about Jon Jones, people are going to come out and care about Jon Jones. Same with Israel Adesanya. Jared Cannonier, crickets, right? Crickets, nothing.
That's something that Fred would say is like Cannonier is like he's going to come and destroy, you know? But you know what? Fred is the voice of reason, man.
We miss him.
You know, a lot of times, except for last week's fight.
Yeah, he was more right than you were. Patrick C. Hamilton dropping the super chat. Thank you, Patrick. He's got a question for us. Very good question here from Patrick on the super chat. He says, I agree that some fighters can last longer. Why do you think that GSP has something left when he's older, but others can't? So he's saying, certain fighters later on in their careers don't do as well, but, GSP came back, did really well, and we still have belief that GSP could come back and still be very successful in the UFC. I think GSP can come back and beat Khabib, and we're going to talk about Khabib in a minute here on the show. So I think a lot of it with George is the lack of damage taken. A lot of people said his fights were kind of boring. Yeah, well, he won, and he didn't get hit, and that's really the name of the game. Win, remain champion, make tons of money, and go home without a scratch. That's really what you're supposed to do at a high level in mixed martial arts, and if you're able to do that like George was, well, people are going to say you're the greatest ever, like he is. So I think George was just able to take very little damage, and that's why I think he can still be successful, and that's why he's got all his wits about him, and he's still the man. Other guys have had a tougher road. Like Jon Jones has had some 5-round fights. 5-round fights where he's come out with a bit of a beating. He's taken damage. Certain guys take damage, and they don't last forever. There are certain guys that, they fight, they're going to take shots, and they might have success for a while, but at a certain point, they're going to have an expiration date. And the fewer shots you take, the further along that expiration date is, right? The longer of a shelf life you have. But other guys, they just take a lot of damage and they can't go on forever. But some guys, they take a lot of damage and they can keep going on forever, like Mark Hunt or whatever, and those guys are just freaks.
Cowboy
I don't know.
Cerrone.
Cowboy
Cerrone.
Ooh, he slowed down.
He slowed down, but look at the amount of fights this guy's fought in 1 year. More than some people have done in 10 years. Mm-hmm. You look at guys like Clay Guida. You got to give these guys credit. They come in, they've taken damage, and they still fight. But the truth is, going back to George, the difference with George is I totally agree with you. George was a strategist. He knew his game plan when he came in, and he always executed exactly what he trained for. Never derailed. He never got hot-headed. He got caught one time with Matt Serra, but that was something to learn from, and he became even greater. The thing is that you're right. He doesn't get hit in the face a lot, but when he did get hit in the face, it started to become a different George St. Pierre. In fact, on Saturday's card coming up, we see Carlos Condit that's still fighting in the UFC from way back, and he did damage to George. The thing with George is he didn't take a lot of damage. And another thing with George is that George is a very, very clean athlete. When I say clean, I mean his lifestyle, his eating habits, his way of thinking. He has a very balanced way of martial arts. Like when you look at the Karate Kid, you'll think of George because he's out there meditating. And the thing with George is that he's always involved in the latest technology in training, being in training methods, training strategies, incorporating different types of athletic performance. It could be gymnastics and different types of new ideas. George is there. And George is ready to fight today. George could go into the UFC tomorrow, and he'll be able to perform at a level that is, you would consider prime. And George is what now? George is 38, I think, Dave? How old is George? He's 38, which...
it might be 39 now, actually.
Listen, in MMA years, that might be old.
He's 39.
But if you look at George walking the streets, man, this guy is like Captain America. He's chiseled. Yeah. But that's a difference. And most MMA fighters don't have like that game plan or that martial arts knowledge where he's able to really be able to self-protect himself as he's doing damage to others. And a lot of guys don't do that.
Of course, and he's taking care of himself.
That's the mystique of George.
He's taking care of himself very well as well. Like you mentioned, he's not a partier. He's not a guy that, he eats right. He's always
go out.
Yeah, sure, but he doesn't do anything to excess, but he eats right. He's always in shape. The guy is, very sharp, very sharp. Patrick thinks it's been too many years in between fights. I don't know about that. I think he's a guy that always stays in shape. But look, it's possible.
Bisping, right?
Yeah, he came back and he smoked Bisping. He looked really, really good. So I'm not too concerned about George taking time off because I think he always stays sharp. Let me tell you about staying sharp and staying fresh with Manscaped. Go to manscaped.com. Use that promo code ringside20 and get 20% off your order plus free shipping. Manscaped has great products over there. You want your balls to look good. You want to smell good in that area. You need Manscaped. You need the Lawnmower 3.0. It's got the little light at the end so you can see where you're going. Get all the hairs off smooth, clean, looking good with Manscaped, the proud sponsor of the Ringside Report Network. Go to manscaped.com. Use that promo code ringside20. You get 20% off. You get free shipping, and you get great products. Manscaped has great stuff. Go check them out right now, manscaped.com. Use the promo code ringside20. AJ,
What?
Khabib. It's Khabib time. We're in October. Khabib is now 3 weeks away. 3 weeks away from Khabib time. We're in Khabib-tober. Dana White says that they were going to do Khabib versus Conor in a rematch, and they were going to coach the season of The Ultimate Fighter on ESPN coming up. But because Conor leaked the text between he and Dana White, Khabib is now refusing to do that deal with Conor, which doesn't make sense because there was nothing really about Khabib in any of those texts. And Dana White is like, yeah, because Conor revealed that stuff about me. Well, Khabib doesn't want to do business because Khabib loves me so much. Yeah. Ugh. Dana's just mad, and he's blaming everything on Conor, and it's super weird. It's super weird. And at the same time, Dana's like, yeah, we made an offer to Dustin Poirier and Conor McGregor to fight each other. And it's like, okay, dude, what's the number? How much did you offer them to fight? Like, okay, you made them an offer, and if they say no, well, you could say, well, we offer them fights and they refuse. They're dicks. But in reality, you're not offering the right number for these fights. You can offer these guys to fight each other for peanuts, and when they say no, you come out and say, they turned down the fight. They don't want to fight. Dana, that's not how it works, goddammit. I'm so mad at Dana White because he's framing these things in this way, and people are just buying into it. They're like, oh, well, I guess Dustin Poirier doesn't want to fight. You know, Dustin Poirier was supposed to fight Tony Ferguson in 3 weeks. They didn't offer a number that Poirier thought was fair, so Dana's like, oh, Dustin Poirier doesn't want to fight. It's not that he doesn't want to fight. It's that you're not offering him a correct deal to take that fight. When you're offering him less money, significantly less money than his last fight, when he sold a pay-per-view, when he did what he had to do, when he fought Khabib, you're offering him less money now to fight Tony Ferguson, probably far less, and he doesn't take it. Now you're like, oh, he doesn't want to fight. It's not that he doesn't want to fight. It's that your offers are bullshit. It's not that Conor doesn't want to fight. It's not, and I don't believe for a second that Khabib saw Conor tweeting out about Dana, and then Khabib was like, "Oh, I don't want to do this thing, Ultimate Fighter with Dana, with Conor." Like, how does that even make sense? Wouldn't Dana be mad at Khabib that like if Dana has a season of the Ultimate Fighter all set up, right? Khabib Conor rematch all set up, and Khabib goes, oh, I don't want to do it anymore because Conor tweeted. Wouldn't Dana be like, shut up, Khabib. You're going to do it. Shut your mouth, you know? But no, he's like, oh, well, Khabib doesn't want to do it because Conor said da-da-da-da-da. No, how about the real deal, okay? Conor doesn't want to do it because you're not offering enough money to do the Ultimate Fighter, okay? Conor doesn't want to do it, and you're telling us that, well, Conor was going to do it, but Khabib is refusing because Conor's such a problem. No, it's because you're offering a bullshit deal to Conor that he doesn't want to take. Again, Dana, all you do is offer bullshit deals to Conor McGregor, and then you try to tell us, oh, Conor doesn't want to fight. Conor's retired. Dana tells us, on one hand, he's like, well, I offered Conor this fight and that fight, and I don't know. And, oh, Conor's retired anyways. It's like, well, wait a second. Did you offer him a fight, or is he retired? Because he'll say the same thing. He'll say both things. He talks out of both sides of his mouth. Classic Dana White. He tells you lies explicitly, and no one follows up. No one's like, well, Dana, I have a follow-up question. What you're saying actually doesn't make sense. Everybody in there, right? Everybody that's on Fight Island, they're all like part of the UFC press corps, and they're so goddamn scared to get their credentials revoked that they won't ask a tough question to Dana White. That's how it works.
That's how the
UFC press works. No, because they'd kick me off Fight Island immediately. I'd be like, Dana, I don't really understand. You're telling me Conor's retired, but then you're also telling me that you're offering him fights? So which is it? Do you think he's retired, or are you trying to get him to fight? Because what you're saying doesn't make sense, Dana. And you'd be like, get off Fight Island. I don't know you. You were never my friend. That's what he would tell me.
Dave
and
Simon,
it's like, okay.
Banned for life.
Now here's Conor McGregor.
Listen.
Here's Conor McGregor going out on his own saying, martial arts sparring match in aid of charity. Dublin, December 12th, 2020. Given a date. Free to air spar. McGregor versus Poirier. List of chosen charities available soon. All donations welcome. Charity event. Conor's promoting something in Dublin.
He's promoting a charity event. Yeah.
How?
Dave, you okay there? Don't get you're getting so overwhelmed there, man. COVID hashtag.
Yeah.
Listen, you got a little COVID there. You got a little emotional, Dave. It's understandable.
I got a touch of the Rona.
Want to see hose him down, man. Dave Simon. Listen, I can't do this show alone, dude. It won't work, man. It just won't work. Listen,
that's what's gonna happen. We're gonna start dropping like flies. Fred's gone this week. I'll be gone next week. It'll just be AJ next week on the show, and then the week after, it'll just be a blank screen. It'll be none of us here. Just be the graphics, just a blank screen, nobody here. Be like, is there a show? Yeah, this is the show now. We're all dead. We've all died.
But you know what? This is what happens when you diss Dana White, because Dana White is he sends you this curse from abroad, man. You diss Dana, he's listening. I know he's listening because he's taken some of the shit we said and he's used it. But listen, I was gonna say, Conor is doing this fight with Poirier for this charity event. I don't understand what it means with this mixed martial art or mixed sparring martial art thing.
Well, it's just to say that it's not an MMA fight. It's kind of an MMA fight, but they're doing it for charity. They can't say it's MMA because they have an MMA contract with the UFC. I don't know if this is actually happening.
Are they really hitting each other? Is it wrestling? What is it? Is it
who knows?
Mayweather when he was sparring?
You're telling me that Dustin Poirier is going to be?
Fight?
You're telling me Poirier is going to be able to get out of the United States and travel to Dublin, Ireland in December? The whole country's going to burn in November. Come on, it's over. Come on. The country is done. Rest in peace, America. We miss you. We love you, but you're done.
What I really think is going to happen, and I've been saying
it. You see that debate? It was a fucking mess, bro. They're talking over each other worse than you do to me.
Listen, what we should have done is we should have had a live watch-along for that debate and put out the odds of who's going to win. And you know what? I don't know who won. It was so weird. I think it was a draw. It was the weirdest. Maybe
Did you see them?
To Trump because Trump won a couple of things. But
Trump wouldn't shut up. He was good because he wouldn't shut up. He does what Conor does in press conferences. He just keeps talking. If the questions are for the other fighters, Conor answers. That's what Trump did. Questions for fucking Biden, Trump's like, oh, let me tell you something. That's bullshit. You're bullshit. Fuck you. You're all stupid. I'm the best.
Shut up, man.
Trump 2020, bitch. Yeah, shut up. And then Biden's like, that was the best. Biden's like, would you shut up, man? You're being so unpresidential. And I'm like, dude, you just told him to shut up. That's not very presidential either. You're both dumb fucks. You fucking idiots. That's why they're fucked.
It wasn't such a
if those two guys are going to be the lead of their country, they are doubly fucked. Double fucked Oreos over there.
Listen, maybe that's why we needed Kanye West to come in and he would have actually won this shit. But you know what? We need somebody, man. We need who could be in the States as a president in the UFC?
Jon Jones.
Conor because he's
Jon Jones for president.
Jon Jones as president? That'd be awesome, man. Cocaine, hookers, homeless people shootings. I mean, he'd be perfect.
He's he's quite a Republican,
how
about
a Nick Diaz, man? Wouldn't that be awesome? Nick
press
Diaz
conferences would be amazing if he shows up. The president was supposed to be here.
As vice president.
It's like the State of the Union. Nick Diaz is president. It's everybody's waiting. They're like, President Diaz is supposed to be here, but we can't find him. They find him 3 days later. They're like, Nick, what happened to the State of the Union, man? You're president. yeah, motherfucker, I'm so fucking sick of this shit. Where you at, George? Where you at? You're a bitch, George. And it's like, what the hell are you talking about? Who's George? Yeah, motherfucker.
George
Stockton.
Washington, man.
Stockton. And it's like, you live in Washington, D.C. now. Stockton, motherfucker. Crazy.
Fuck the White House.
Yeah, I see Nick
Man,
Diaz, though.
listen,
He's
man.
training. He looks good, man. You see Nick? He looks like he's ready to go.
Listen, man, this guy is ready to go, man. You got to get this guy in now. You got to get him in now. You gotta
Speaking of Nick Diaz,
there's going to be a lot of weird
Carlos
shit.
Condit is
What
fighting this weekend.
Exactly.
That's big.
Exactly. He's still fighting, man. Well, it's either like a do or die for this poor guy on this fight. I mean, he's at a point in his career, either he's going to have like his third win with a win, or if he loses, it's like retirement time, and
Yeah.
that's about it, man.
He's lost 5 in a row. Since losing to GSP, his career has done a total tailspin. He lost to GSP in 2012 here in Montreal, tremendous fight. Then he lost to Johnny Hendricks. Okay. Then he fought Martin Kampmann, he won. Then he lost to Tyron Woodley. Okay. Then he beat Thiago Alves, and then he went on a bad run. Lost to Robbie Lawler, Damian Maia, Neil Magny, and then Alex Oliveira and Michael Chiesa. So he's not won since 2015. 5 years since his last win. Over 5 years now. Not good. Carlos Condit taking on Court McGee. Court's a little long in the tooth as well. He's been around for a little while. This isn't like feeding up Carlos Condit to a young lion at all. Court's not done well. He's lost 4 of his last 5. His only win in the past 5 years is over Alex Garcia.
Yeah, and you know what? Either or, whoever loses, man, is basically like going to get like the pink slip from Dana White. There's no doubt about it on this fight. This is like a do or die fight for either fighter. And it's too bad because, you know what, I'm happy to see like Carlos still in the MMA scene. And regardless, I mean, you know, he'll be he's a legend of the sport, man. You know, but it would be nice to see him get a win and then, you know what, call it quits and that's about it. But you never know with this guy, man. He could still roll.
I don't think so. I think he's nearly done. I think they're both nearly done. What's up, my man?
Well, Court McGee loses. He's for sure he's getting the pink slip, Dave.
Court is the favorite, minus 135.
What? They're giving him the favorite?
Carlos plus 115, the underdog. That makes sense to me. I've got Court McGee winning.
Listen, this is not happening, dude. They're both 1-5, man. And it's going to come down to experience, and Carlos is going to win it. McGee, I think his time is done.
Come here. You want to finish the show with me? We're going to finish the show. We're going to wrap it up.
Hey, listen, we didn't talk about Charles. Listen, talk about Charles Jourdain, man. Our buddy. Charles, who gave us a shout-out.
Yeah, my buddy's.
Hey, bud, what's
up,
man?
My man here is going to finish the show with me. Charles Jourdain is fighting on Saturday night as well, right? That's a big one for him. Our buddy Charles, huge favorite, minus 450. Josh Kulibau, plus 360, the underdog. So put your money on Charles. Let's go, Charles.
On a parlay, man. You put him on a parlay, it'll work out for you.
How about the main event, Holly Holm and Irene Aldana?
Man, you know what? She's like the Mexican queen, man. She's just rocking. And you know what? Holly Holm is basically like that gatekeeper. You know, she gets insulted. She's been like referenced as the Buster Douglas of like the female like fighting scene. And it's unfortunate because it's Holly Holm and she's awesome. But she's never been the same. And you know what? We're going to look at the Mexican queen as being the future of the UFC. And if she wins and she wins well, which I think she will, it's going to be interesting.
Holly Holm is the favorite, minus 120. Irene Aldana, plus 100, the underdog. And,
Aldana.
I don't know, man. Holly Holm is very good.
Come on, Dave.
I'm not believing in Aldana. I don't know. Why
See how
Aldana?
She knocked out Vera in her last fight?
Yeah.
You see that? Remember that knockout? So let's not forget. She's got I don't know how many, she's got about 3 submission wins, like numerous like knockouts. Man, this girl is like, she's the up-and-coming female fighter in that division. And you know what? For her to be an underdog, you know what? Pick that underdog for that night because that's coming out. And put Charles in your parlay. You'll
I'm
make some
going
money.
the other
AJ
way.
is not going to go down twice.
I think you will.
AJ ain't going down twice.
I've got Holly Holm by decision. I think she's a more technical striker. I've also got Germaine Durandamy over Juliana Pena. That's another good fight on this one. Germaine, a slight favorite, minus 150. What happened? What happened here? You dropped.
Well, Pena, listen. What happened, bud? What happened, bud? What is that? Who is that? It's Conor McGregor. That's awesome, man.
Hit him again. Hit him hard. Hit him again. Again.
I think he has a chip stuck in his throat.
Again.
Or it's money.
Good, I know that. Again.
Precision beats power, and timing beats speed.
How cool is that?
That is cool, man. Where'd you get that?
Well, you should be getting
That
it
is
soon,
the
brother.
coolest. What?
Yours should be on its way.
No way, Dave.
Yeah.
Dave, you're like the best boss ever, man.
Well, you know. It's
Why
your
give
birthday.
us like cool Corvettes or like maybe a Porsche?
Well,
You know, when you could give me like a Connor doll, which is like actually pretty awesome because I'll
Yeah.
be like with that thing all the time. I'll bring it to work. You know that. You know I'm bringing it to work.
I can't buy you a Porsche. Okay?
Not yet, bud. Not yet. But
I
soon.
can't. No, I can't at all. Like maybe one day, but I can't. We don't have money for that, but we do have money for Conor McGregor dolls. So there you go. All right, there
Listen,
you go.
Did you mention all your sponsors by the way tonight? Did you mention?
Let's talk
IP
about our
Vanish?
friends over at Stitcher Premium. Go to Stitcher.com/premium.
Yeah.
Use that promo code Ringside for a free month when you sign up. They've got over 100,000 podcasts, bonus episodes, comedy albums, and more. Stitcher.com/premium. Use that promo code Ringside when you sign up for a free month. And also check out our friends over at IP Vanish. Protect yourself on the internet. Protect yourself at all times. Over at IP Vanish, go to vpn.ringsidereport.net for more. Sign up and protect yourself, get a great service, and also support the Ringside Report Network all at the same time. vpn.ringsidereport.net. Just a note here, our buddy Cyril Gann has a new opponent. He was supposed to fight Shamil Abdurakhimov October 17th. That fight is now off. Cyril Gann now fighting Ante Delia. So, new
Jesus, I thought
opponent
you were
for...
gonna say my name, Anthony.
Yeah, no. That would be bad for
I'd
you.
be like, that'd
Cyril
be a bad name for
Gann
me,
still fighting, though, on the 17th of October. This weekend, we've got UFC Home versus Aldana. And just to give you a little, that's not the best fight card coming up this month. The rest of the month looks pretty awesome, both in the UFC and in Bellator. UFC next week is Marlon Moraes versus Corey Sandhagen. UFC on the 17th of October, that card with Cyril Gann, is going to be main evented by the Korean Zombie versus Brian Ortega. Sick fight
That'll be
at
awesome,
featherweight.
man. Yeah.
The 24th of the month, of course, is Khabib time. Khabib versus Gaethje, UFC 254 in the afternoon. We'll be doing a watch-along for that on the 24th of this month. And then we end off the month on Halloween, the 31st of October, with Anderson Silva's final fight, taking on Uriah Hall in the main event of a UFC fight night there. So a pretty cool month coming up in October for the UFC. Bellator has a bunch of Thursday night cards. They're doing one on the 15th of October. Cyborg will be fighting at Bellator 249 on the 15th. And then on the 29th of October, Bellator 250, Gegard Mousasi takes on Douglas Lima, which is a sick fight.
Ooh, that'll be good again. Yeah.
Good fights coming up in October, man. It's a good fight month. We got a lot going on, and we will be doing watch-alongs for the UFC 254 pay-per-view when that comes along. For Khabib, AJ, Fred, and I will all be back next Thursday at 8 p.m. unless something happens, in which case AJ might be alone. We never know. I'll be back with Johnny North on Saturday morning for Wrestling Uncensored. In the meantime, go to ringsidereport.net to check us out. Follow AJ at Danny Brook. Follow me at Dave Simon MMA on all the things, Twitter and Instagram. Follow Freddie at Freddie MMA. Happy birthday to AJ. Happy birthday to Freddie. Happy birthday to me.
And
as
your
well.
birthday coming up soon, man.
Yeah, it's Saturday.
Dave?
So celebrate me.
Happy
Okay.
birthday, bud. You deserve it.
Thank you.
Get manscaped and get lucky.
I
Zeb
mean,
needs a brother. or
I'm always
sister.
manscaping. All right, take it easy over there. I'm not the one you need to talk to about that. All right, I'll talk to you later. AJ, we love you. We love you all. Thank you for watching.
Love
Thank
you,
you to
bud.
Patrick C. Hamilton. Patrick
Thanks
C.
for
Hamilton
listening,
for
man.
dropping in the super chat. We appreciate you guys supporting the Ringside Report Network. For AJ and Fred, I'm Dave. This has been Ringside Report.
Report.